So I want to show you a deep fake, and I think this is really, there's lots of them out there. There's lots of AI out there. There's lots of deep fakes out there, but I haven't seen one put together in a parody like I'm about to show you. And I think it really kind of goes to the heart of what I'm saying, that this is going to change the way that the media landscape will be. And what you've really got to do in media is you've got to find people, you've got to find human beings that are speaking to you and talking to you. But the problem is you can't tell if the human beings are real or not. You know this is a parody and it's fun. It even says it on the front end. Let's take a look.
No, that's bull. That's nonsense. We need some fresh ideas, better, stronger, and effective. Oh, God, I'm so tired.
Oh, I didn't let the last bit play. I'll let the last bit play there for you.
The Arty International.
Even the penguins were saying motherfucker at the end.
I love it. I wish now I'm envious. I wish I had put that together.
That's clever, huh?
Yeah, brilliant.
It's clever. The Russians saying like they can't, and Olaf Schultz in ChatGPT ideas for new Russian sanctions. He's about to press the enter key.
This kind of brilliant satire content is becoming more and more pervasive, which is brilliant. People using their creativity. This is their way of making commentary. Satire is a very effective way of influencing people.
Well, when you look at it from the Russian perspective, right, it comes from this Russian propaganda that they put out there saying, this is so ridiculous, is what they're saying. And, they can't think of another way to sanction us. Zelensky came out in the last 48 hours and he said, we had some Russian missile strikes, they were shot down, and we found some intact ones, and we pulled them apart and we found the components. And the components inside this missile were from more than 150 different countries. So the components to build the thing came from all of these different places. Well, kind of, okay, fair enough. And he said all of those companies should be sanctioned. All of those countries should be sanctioned. It's like, there's so many things that you can say about that.
I'm sure there are American chips in there too.
There probably is, right?
Of course.
Well, on that very point, we just come back to this slide, don't we? Where how the top Silicon Valley investor is investing in Chinese firms. Once the pride of US finance, Sequoia is now funding Beijing's terrifying AI war chest. And it's not just a scary headline, it's the truth.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why anybody would be surprised at this.
You're not surprised?
Nah, I'd be surprised if it wasn't happening. No, I'm not surprised. No, I'm not surprised at all. There were stories. When Obama was elected, there were stories of a large Chinese guy showing up at one of the Ohio headquarters in the campaign for Obama with millions of dollars in cash from a Chinese. It
happened here in Sydney. There was a Chinese property developer. I'm not picking on the Chinese, but they were the people that did it. And he had like an Aldi supermarket bag full of cash, handing it over to the politician. And they busted on camera, man, doing it, handing over bags of cash to politicians for, hey, can you fix this in the council for me? Can you make sure my development goes through?
I mean, look, from their point of view, why not do it? What do they have to lose?
So to your point about expectations, right? So you like the political satire of that deepfake video. It's like very clever how it comes together. But when it comes to written content and headline-based content, it's very, very hard to not become an instrument of the deep state. It's very hard not to, especially in a show like we do, where we're not creating the news. What we're doing is reporting on the news and saying, okay, look at that headline, stand back from that. and what is it that they're actually trying to say, and why are they trying to perpetuate that narrative? And I'll go into some more of that in a sec with Roseanne, because she kind of does a good job explaining that. You know, what can we expect, and what can we do as individuals to prevent being drawn into the narrative, particularly a deep fake narrative or an AI-based narrative, because it's impossible to tell the difference.
Well, okay. Well, the only difference between now and the last 40, 50, 60 years is that rather than only having the media putting the spin on, now the rest of us can do it too. So, you know, people should always have been discerning consumers, and to the degree that they're not, to the degree that they are low information people, that's the degree to which they're going to be controlled. They're going to be more and more controlled. But with the advent of the internet and so many different sources of information that people have nowadays, they just have to, over the course of time, find a trusted source of information. And yeah, it might take you a while to stumble upon them. You might have to wade through a lot of, but it is there. There are trusted sources of information out there. People just have to be willing to look for it. It's the people who are not willing to dig a little bit to find a trusted source. They're the ones who are going to be influenced.
Don't you think that's the vast majority of people, though? Like, not a lot of people sit and trawl through YouTube and watch geopolitical stories.
Well, I'll tell you, that's an interesting question, because I think that today, more and more people, there are more people today who are discerning, who do look for alternative sources of news than in the previous generations. When I grew up, there were 4 television stations, and they were all liberal, right? They're all liberal as hell. But that's when you only have one source of information. You know, if you live in Russia and you have Pravda every day, and that's all you have for your source of information, and they're really good at making putting a news report out that sounds legit, but you have no way of knowing. You don't have a way of finding a counter to that argument. It's the only source of information. Then you're going to be influenced over the course of time.
And that's what I'm saying.
Right?
I don't think people are discerning enough to actually find the counter.
Well, I think that they are more discerning today than they were when I was growing up. Partly because
you're right. The dam blew up and they immediately said it was Ukrainians, not Russians.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, part of that was, even if someone wanted to be discerning, there weren't any other sources of information. You know, you got those 4 channels to choose between. That's it. Now, if you were discerning, you could go out and find newspapers that you liked and magazines that were truthful. There were ways, but it took more effort. Nowadays, click of a button, people can, and a lot of this has to do with who do you surround yourself to, who's your tribe, if I look at a person, I can make a pretty good judgment call about who they are by who their friends are. Who do they surround themselves with? You know, that's a fairly good barometer. You know, the old saying, I can tell you how successful you're going to be by your friends. And who do you surround yourself with? Who do you listen to? But I think more and more, I'm always discouraged with the garbage out there that people do buy into. Because when you consider that this country is so divided, when you think that 30, 40 plus % of the populace is okay with putting tuck Fendi bathing suits in front of children, or it's okay to have twerking gay guys in a kindergarten, yeah, it's okay, that's discouraging. What the hell are you thinking? So that's discouraging. So I'm trying to be like you. I'm trying to look at the optimistic. I'm trying to be optimistic. Well, on the other hand, people have more sources of information today than they ever did before. And yeah, it's scary. Well, this adoption of a CBDC. Okay, one of the reasons why I talk about it so much, and I put the message out so much on my channel, is to make people aware of what's going on, because most people are not. So I want to do my little bit to make a few people aware of what's going on and the evil behind it. But I'm afraid that most people are not going to realize the evil behind it. They're offering me a free $1,000 to come on to this new platform. Why not? It's free money. They don't realize it's the crack dealer saying, yeah, the first one's on me. First one's free.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? You know, I saw a great interview with Dan Bongino and what's the other, Megan Kelly so Dan had his contract up for renewal at Fox, and he decided, no, I don't want to do that. And so the interview was about alternative media, and so Megan Kelly left mainstream media and started her own thing. And Dan Bongino has, you know, the whole time he's been at Fox, he built a Rumble channel. You know, he's got, I think, 500,000 subscribers there or something like that. He's, you know, he's a well-known figure in the United States. He's a commentator, pundit, all of those things, right? So he didn't really need the Fox job. You know, that's good for his brand, that's good for him, but like, what do I care? You know, and he's not in a position where he's over a barrel, where he's like, oh, in order for me to get that $2 million contract and, you know, to build my brand and to do all those things, I have to say what they need me to say. It's like, I don't give a shit about what you want me to say, because I'm going to say it anyway, whether it's here at Fox or it's over there on Rumble. I'm going to do whatever I want to say. But the way he described it, and he said that, you know, he said, what do I care about Fox anyway? Who watches Fox anyway?